same colors.
Well, good evening. A pleasure to call this regular meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen for the City of Natchez to order. I will ask everyone, if you would, to please stand for our prayer to be followed by our pledge. I'm going to ask my executive assistant, Richard Berg, to lead us in prayer tonight.
If you'll bow your heads. Dear God, thank you for another day in your service and in service to your people. Please bless this board and this mayor and the other department heads that are in here and the public as the city's business is done tonight. Let us remember that in Romans chapter 13, you say that all authority is given under your authority. And let us remember that you have dominion and that we should seek to do what is good and right in your eyes. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Let us now repeat together our pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. I'll ask the clerk to administer the roll call.
Alderwoman Hall. Here. Alderman Frazier.
Here.
Alderwoman Smith. Here. Alderwoman Irvin. Here. Alderman Davis.
Here.
And Alderman Dillard.
Here.
All are accounted and present for, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you so much. At this time, we are going to break with the order of our agenda to take care of something. We've had some individuals very, very patiently waiting. If you'll look under the mayor's report, we have there an update on Auburn. And it is my pleasure just to make an announcement tonight. And I'm going to then ask for a motion to permit a gentleman who is here to come to the podium and share more information because I didn't actually have him on the agenda, Mr. Carter Burns. But we'll get to that in just a minute. As you know, many, many years ago, the beautiful mansion Auburn was gifted to the city of Natchez along with a park in excess of 200 acres. And that comprises the mansion Auburn and Duncan Park. And it was given to the city with the understanding that it would perpetually be made available for the enjoyment of our citizens. And also over the years, many tourists have enjoyed it. Well, Auburn is one of the preeminent mansions in the entire country. And it is notable for its federal architecture, but also for its amazing staircase. I don't know that there is another staircase like it in the world, a completely freestanding spiral staircase. And it has been under the management and care of Friends of Auburn for many years now. And this has been through an arrangement between the Friends of Auburn and the city. And we can't say enough for the work of Clark Pfizer, his wife Phyllis, and all of these volunteers who for many years have given of themselves to keep Auburn open. Well, you know, as it says in the Bible, there is a season for every purpose under heaven. And there is a time when certain seasons come to an end and new seasons begin. that season of the custodianship of Auburn by Friends of Auburn has now come to a close. And it is bittersweet because we know that these individuals have given so much to the care of that mansion and the telling of that story. And I don't know that Auburn would be the mansion appreciated in history that it is now had it not been for the many years and the many contributions put in by these volunteers. But now, as they are stepping aside, Auburn is being transferred back to the management of the city. And I want to tonight dispel any rumors. Auburn is not closing permanently. Now, Auburn obviously is closed temporarily because we are now in a transition. Very recently, the Friends notified us that they would be stepping aside, Sunday being their last day to be on pilgrimage. And so over the last few weeks, we've been in communication with an organization I consider to be the preeminent expert on anything historic in Natchez, the Historic Natchez Foundation, because this is a landmark. It is also protected under the state of Mississippi through the Mississippi Department of Archives and History. And already, Mr. Carter Burns at the Historic Natchez Foundation has been overseeing grant work. In fact, a restoration of the columns about to commence, along with the restoration of the billiard hall and the restrooms, all thanks to an MDH grant that we received. And so what better place to turn to for help, because we need help to make this transition. And so Mr. Burns and his board have graciously offered to assist the city in forming a plan moving forward that will keep Auburn open, that will make sure that it is preserved and protected and enjoyed. So we are grateful to also announce that Monday morning at 8:30, Friends of Auburn and Mr. Clark Pfizer and all of you hopefully will be there as Mr. Pfizer turns the keys to Auburn back over to the city, and I'll accept them on behalf of the city. And this will take place at 8:30 Monday morning, October 31st, on the front steps of Auburn. And at that time, we will also welcome students from Tulane University. And they will begin a week-long documentation process. And we are excited about the future, but we want to take a moment to thank these wonderful individuals. I have been given something to share, and this is in honor and memory of Mabel Jones, a longstanding member of Auburn Garden Club before it became Friends of Auburn. And we want to recognize Ms. Jones because of her work so many years ago. And in so doing, we are commemorating the work now done by so many who stepped into Ms. Jones' shoes to keep Auburn going. There is a tribute to her represented by a poem that I've been asked to read, entitled Planting a Tree by Nancy Bird Turner. Firm in the good brown earth set we our little tree. Clear dews will refresh it. Cool rain will feed it. Sun will be warming it as warmth is needed. Winds will blow round it free. Take root, good tree. Slowly as days go on, these boughs will stouter be. Leaves will unfurl on them, and when spring comes to them, blossoms uncurl on them. Birds make their homes in them. Shade outstretches wide and free. Grow well, good tree. A tribute to Mabel through her middle initial, P. Pal, our friend. Parent, wonderful mother. Patience, Mabel had much. Peace, Mabel was a peacemaker. Perfect, she could plant a flower or plant better than me. Personality plus, pleasant always. Poised, practical, pretty, always a picture, proper, always a lady. And finally, it was a privilege to know her and love her. She provided joy for so many. Many years ago, I believe I had the opportunity of meeting Ms. Mabel at Auburn because it was one of my favorite houses to tour back when I could play tourist in Natchez, playing the beautiful Steinway there. And I can remember my son, who's now 28, playing on the limbs of the great oak in front of Auburn back when it still had a limb touching the ground. It brings back great memories, and we want to just celebrate you right now. And if one of you would like to come and make a few comments before I introduce Mr. Burns, let me know, and I'll be happy to get a motion to allow you to speak. Okay. I would like to entertain a motion to allow Phyllis Pfizer on behalf of Friends of Auburn to speak. Alderwoman Hall has made the motion.
Second.
Seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Any discussion? We'll move to vote. Call for the question.
All.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Ms. Pfizer, you're recognized. If you'll come to the podium, we need you on the speaker. And she enjoyed that. Thank you so much.
We loved her. We told her stories about Auburn. When I moved here from Pennsylvania with my husband, I said in no failing words, I did not want another old home. Done with it. I wanted a completely modern home with sound. Well, I wasn't here very long before Joanne and Rita talked us into joining Auburn. Well, I could clerk cut, and it's still, a male thing. Anyway, here I am 17 years later, and maybe I shouldn't do this. It's like losing a part of you.
Yeah.
There's so many things I want to tell you guys. Don't forget to see the rain gutter up in the attic. Don't forget this. Don't forget that Dr. and Mrs. Duncan, unlike a lot of married couples at that time, slept together in the same room every night that he was there. His dressing room was on the left as you looked at her dressing room was on the left as you looked at the bed. His was on the right. His, being a man, had a doorway out into the hall. But there's just so many things about Auburn. And Joanne's been around, I tell her forever, because she's 33, 35 years. We couldn't make up our mind, but it was one of the two. But it's good to know that Auburn's going to be in good hands, because that's all we ask for. We're just not able to do everything that we were doing. When Joanne and Rita started, I think it was like 80 some people. Am I right? Now, and then when we joined, it was 40 people, and now we're down to 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's a lot for somebody to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you listening to us saying we couldn't do it anymore and not being nasty about it. So that I appreciate. I just wish everybody would just come over Monday. You don't have to come over for the picture taking. Come over to see the secrets we found out about the house. And when someone,
Ms. Pfizer, you can go back to the mic.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Mayor, I think you should be the one to go under crawl space in the
Yes.
basement and take a picture of the spindles not in the dirt.
Wow. I would love to do that actually.
Get a good picture.
You're so, you're, give it for a hand. All of them. We will have a time of a more appropriate thank you on Monday morning. At this time, I would like to, yes, well, we would have to suspend the rules again. For just a brief moment, I would like to just ask for a motion to allow Miss Joanne King to address the board. Second, without opposition, motion carries. Yes, Miss Joanne.
This was on my wall in my bedroom. And I took it to the luncheon today. It was still in my car. I'm gonna let y'all have it while I talk. And I'm not gonna talk long.
Mabel Jones was my friend. She's in that picture many times. We planted a tree, which is still at Auburn, in Mabel's memory. It's a live oak tree. It will live on forever, even though Mabel did not. She was legally blind. She could not see, but she told me when my shoe was untied. And she could plant a flower much better than I could. And I'm pretty good at planting flowers. Thank y'all for taking the time to listen to me and tell the story about Mabel. She was a very special person. Her daughter, I think, is still, and she commented on Facebook. Somebody put a comment and she commented on it. But I think her daughter is still a member at Jefferson Street Church, even though she's living in Baton Rouge and taking care of some college kids.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ms. Joanne. Thank you. Well, at this time, we aren't asking for anything formal yet. Obviously, this is just a beginning. The Historic Natchez Foundation has expressed a willingness to work with us in developing a plan going forward. And they have also assisted in immediately enlisting Tulane for their help. So to talk more about that, we have Mr. Carter Burns here from the Historic Natchez Foundation. I'd like to ask for a suspension of the rules to allow Mr. Burns to address.
Second.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion. Alderwoman Smith has seconded it. Without opposition, motion carries. Mr. Burns, you're recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, as you've mentioned, we're happy to assist the city with coming up with a plan for Auburn moving forward and in assisting with creating a new management plan for Auburn. And we want to make sure, of course, that the work that others have done in the past is acknowledged and celebrated during this transition period. And as you mentioned, we have enlisted the help of the Tulane Historic Preservation Masters Program, and they will be here all week next week to do some documentation at the house and to do some conditions assessment at the house. So that will provide us with some information and a report that will help formulate and inform our plan moving forward.
That's wonderful. And you explained to me, Carter, that they will actually be doing architectural drawings of the house,
Yes.
Including the floor plans of the house, and also taking into account all of the antiquities there, the history there.
They will. They'll make measured drawings that will include floor plans and an elevation of each side of the house, and then also create a full report on the structure for us.
Oh, that's great. And meeting them there and giving them a tour to acquaint them with the house will be Mr. Clark Pfizer. He has accepted our invitation to be there for that. It will be bittersweet for sure, but we look forward to that. At this time, what I would like to do is entertain a motion, and I'm going to look to Alderwoman Hall because I know this is, well, our very first day on the job. You and I went out to Auburn to have a meeting to look at what was needed. And it's in Dan Dillard's ward. I'm kind of torn here. That's right. Let me just say this. This is the motion we need, and y'all but we do need a motion that will allow the city to work with the Historic Natchez Foundation on a management plan for Auburn going forward to be presented to this mayor and board for approval at a future date, hopefully very soon. I need it.
Second.
Alderman Dillard has made the motion and Alderwoman Hall has seconded. Glad we worked that out. Any discussion on the motion?
I thought you was going to volunteer me to crawl under the house.
Alderman Dillard, you can go with me.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Yes, I think it's appropriate that Historic Natchez Foundation get involved in this preservation of this landmark. And they're already working with Tulane University and Mississippi State University on other archaeological and preservation works within the city. I think it's very appropriate.
Right. Call for the question?
Call. The question's been called. We'll move to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Clark.
you.
Thank you. I just want to say for the record, it's so wonderful to live in a city that has such a treasure that so many years bestowed to the city. And it's so great to be in a city where the passion exists that has seen it this far and desires to see it continue. We want to hold true to that commitment that was made so many years ago and never go back on that commitment. And we also want to make sure that Auburn is preserved and is available for all of the public to enjoy for many years to come. So thank you. Thank you. Another hand for the Friends of Auburn. We will now, as is our practice, we will invite Betty Jo Harris. We don't want to keep you here all night. And Ms. Betty Jo, you have done a wonderful job taking the Natchez Cinema and Literary Festival to a new level. And I know you're here to give us a report on what's to come. We're going to recognize you for a 5-minute report. And just so you know, we have already approved the funding.
Ooh, that's even better.
All we need is the invoice. You're in the
Thank
budget.
you for having me here tonight. I just want to point out I left some packets. I love history, and I'm a history teacher at Colin. So this year's celebration is taking another swing at some historic topics. In most cultural traditions, women are the keepers of the stories, keepers of the family Bibles, keepers of the tradition. So this year, we are going to, 2023, we're going to interpret history using stories of women and homes. And you can see from your handout that the theme this year is the better half, ? Fact, fiction, or fable. And we will use different stories relating to the home and women to tell the history with kind of a rose-colored set of glasses, if you may. You can see from the front of your handout, I ran into this book. There she was, The Secret History of Miss America. This is a Washington Post reporter, and our own Linda Lee Mead is in it, as well as our other Miss Mississippis and Miss Americas. And we are going to have a luncheon with all our former pageant winners there. I think Mayor Dan's even volunteered his brother to help lead some Q&A at that meeting. But I want you to understand that I'm a big believer in opening the umbrella, opening the tent to tell a new story of tourism in Natchez. And I recently was at an appointment and started reading one of our speakers' books. And this is a great example. Dr. Jody Skipper is at University of Mississippi, the Center for Southern Studies. And By opening the umbrella, we only open what is available for visitors to Natchez to see. And I am bringing in the former food historian from Monticello, who will be cooking a meal in a hearth in one of Natchez's homes. It tells the story of how women came to this country, learned crafts, learned trades, and really ran the business of our homes. And we jump from the Atlantic slave trade, we go to forks of the road, and then we kind of have some big holes in our story. I think we could have some cultural tourism using some of the hearths in our kitchens to tell a bigger story of Natchez and include a more food and cultural history of the city. And that's one of the main things I want to focus on. I also included in your packet our way to get Natchez school children involved with the NLCC. This year we're using some TikTok, some video oral histories to tell a different story of Natchez. So I appreciate your support. And, I'm trying to put heads on beds.
Thank you.
So let's see if we can do it again.
Oh, my
Thank you.
goodness.
Any
Ms.
questions?
Harris.
Thank you.
I want to make a comment. The program that you have put together is so diverse. Everything from beauty queens to American history, Southern history, and our difficult history. And I really am hoping that I can be there for, I've always loved taking it all in. Last year we had conflicts and I wasn't there for as much as I would have liked. I'm putting this on my calendar now, and I really encourage the aldermen to put this on your calendar as sponsors. Of course, we all are invited to attend, and I think it's important that we support this very important activity.
One surprise I found, because I try to read most of the books that I have, this Secret History of Home Economics. This author sent me a message back and she said, I want to come to Natchez because every day when I go to my kitchen, I use my fat mama's cup. So, well, whatever gets you. And in her book, I did not realize that Booker T. Washington's wife was a Mississippian. And so she goes into how through Tuskegee, we start changing the way women keep house. Y'all, there's just so many, I could go on and on. There's a little bit for everyone here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can't wait.
I have a
Alderman Frazier. Yes, sir.
Y'all also gonna entertain, I heard some, let me see, about like women's, like when black women came over, like making quilts and different types of, y'all gonna have stuff like that?
We don't have quilts this year, but I do have the quilt expert from Alcorn introducing one of our speakers, who is Dr. Rebecca Hall. She is from Harlem. She has a graphic novel called Wake, the secret history of women-led slave revolts. And so we are telling the history. It's black and white women.
Yeah, I was just saying, I was talking about equipment. Also, I wanted to get like cooking, like say you was talking about cooking. It's a variety.
Yeah.
It's a variety of things that black women that contribute to the community here, especially in Natchez and all over the country. Not only black women, just women in general.
Women in
because
general.
as you know, Natchez was a melting pot for not only slaves, free slaves, workers coming over from different countries. So, because we was under the French, the Spanish, the English, and all these different stuff.
Let me tell you a story about one young black girl, and then I'm going to sit down because I'm going over my time. When I asked Kimberly Morgan Miles if she would participate in our Queen's Luncheon, and I told her, that we had Linda Lee Mead coming and we had Cheryl Pruitt Salem coming. Kimberly quickly said, I was successful in my pageant attempt because Linda Lee Mead's husband was my ear doctor when I was a little girl. I was losing my hearing.
Wow.
And so she went up to Memphis, and Linda Lee's husband
Dr. Shea.
took care of, so it's just, we have a lot. It's just amazing the connections you can make in something like this.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
taking
you.
this on and the passion you have for it, Nettie Jo. Thank you. We will now resume I think that is all we had. We will now resume our normal agenda, and I will go to the clerk. And by the way, we're so glad to have Ms. Denise here representing while Megan's out, Ms. Denise Bell. So, Madam Clerk, you're recognized. Approval of minutes.
Yes, we're asking for approval of September 13, 2022 regular board meeting minutes with the pending attorney's approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman Hall.
I think Alderwoman Irvin has to give the correct date, correct address for the property you were discussing at MLK, and it's not Canal, but you were going to give
And
the,
I still don't know, where the awning was that had to be removed right at the corner of MLK and Fernand Hill. Is that 1789, Mr. Dollar, where the awning had been removed from the building? I think it's 1789.
We'll confirm it.
Well, Cathedral is 1144, so it's somewhere.
It's 1100 block there.
Cathedral 714.
Okay.
That's all,
We'll
Mr. Mayor.
confirm. Thank you. Any other discussion?
Call
We'll
for the question.
call. The question's been
Second.
called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Yes, asking for approval for September 27, 2022 regular board meeting minutes pending the attorney's approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion on the motion. We'll call for the question.
Second.
We'll now proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We had some special presentations, but those have been postponed to the next meeting. We don't have any other city business, unfinished business. We are now moving to the Department Director's reports. Mr. Johnston, Community Development, you're recognized. Good evening.
I just have the one item that was provided in your packets this past Friday. 2022 Home Investment Partnership Program, or HOME for short, with funding from the Mississippi Home Corporation. The mandatory public hearing for the city's 2022 home application was held at 2:00 p.m. on Monday, October 27th. 5 persons attended, including Alderwoman Hall and staff. As a requirement of the program, staff is requesting a motion to accept the minutes from the public hearing, allow the mayor to sign, and to make them a part of this meeting's minutes.
So moved.
Second. Motion has been made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. We'll proceed to a discussion.
Yes, I do.
Alderwoman Irving.
Okay, it said on Monday, October 27th, but it's the 17th, so it was just the incorrection of the date. It's the 17th.
17th, I said the wrong date.
Okay, and I want to say this. When we have a public hearing, we should have considered, the time frame in the afternoon, because after the meeting had been held, lots of people did not know. I received calls saying, and I know that, but we're a public body, so we should try to accommodate the public, at a time that's best. And I'm not saying 5 is always the best time, but it is. Most times our people come to our meeting because they do get off at 5. And so public hearings should be held the same way. You get more rapport. But again, I got a lot of calls from residents, and I did refer them on to you as well, Mr. Johnson. Okay.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Further discussion?
Call the question.
Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, it's my understanding now that the application is proceeding and we are applying for, we hope to get anywhere from 300,000 to the limit
600.
is 600.
That is the limit, yes, sir.
We'll see, but let's be hopeful that
Well, that's
we
the
get,
maximum you can apply.
I know.
Yes.
Let's be hopeful we get a large amount. It
And,
certainly will
and
help
this
a
is
lot.
phase 1. I mean, if we get past phase 1, then we'll have a second public hearing. And then we'll, I think, look at receiving worksheets,
Okay.
from interested residents.
How long do we have until the determination of grant awards?
They're due in middle of next month, and they'll probably go to the next phase in January.
Okay. All right. So sometime, maybe first quarter of 2023, they'll make the awards.
They will go to the phase 2.
Phase 2.
Yes.
So,
Which is a little unusual the way
okay.
they do it now.
So
It's a little different back
we
in the
have
day.
we have at least 6 months probably to go.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So I have a question, Mr. Mayor, and I'm done.
Yes, Alderwoman
So
Irving.
that doesn't happen in
The vote
6
is
months.
taking place.
What do we do about the 50,000 that the NAACP had asked about? Will we go back to that if all fails and we're not awarded that money?
We'll
I'm just asking a question.
right now. I think this board is on record. We are pursuing this
I mean,
grant,
I know what you're doing.
and then let's hope we get it.
I mean, but if we don't, then what are other options?
We'll
Because we
discuss
know that
those at
there's
that time.
Okay, I just.
Thank
want to know.
you. Thank you. Next item, Chief Joseph Daltrey, our police chief. You are recognized.
Good evening, Board and Mayor.
Hello. Good evening.
I just had that second booster and it's kicking me. I presented to you last week, last board meeting about the tasers and our body cams. I've spoken with the city attorney, and there is some things that he has looked over. They emailed him the contract. He looked over some things, and he found something that he wants to clarify the state contract. Is that right, Mr. Callaway?
We could either purchase these as bid, or if we can meet the state contract price, but I need to confirm that price before the mayor signs this contract. And if it's not confirmed, then you can't sign that contract. I will tell you that. And there's an addendum that I want to attach to this contract. It just notes things like we can't indemnify, those standard addendums, pardon me, that you see in other contracts. So I think if the board's wants to approve this, it should be a motion to authorize the city to enter into this contract with the provision that the city attorney approves, confirms the state contract price so that we are in line with the procurement laws. Also, there is a sole source question that has to be certified regarding the tasers. And that certification needs to be presented to the board.
Okay.
And that's the only hangups in that contract. Mr. Mayor.
And what do you mean by so everybody's on the same page? This is the only company we can get tasers from.
Okay.
There's nobody else that does. So,
Well, I will entertain that motion.
So moved.
Alderwoman Smith has made the motion, seconded by Alderman Davis. We'll have discussion. We'll
Call the
call for
question.
the, Alderwoman Irving.
Okay, so is it all three of them or just for the tasers? Is it for all three? Because we did have three.
It's just-
right. One of them is each one, like you have one that's individual for tasers, one individual for body cams,
Right.
and the one that's just the 49,925, that's for both together. It's a combined package, which will give us an annual savings of over $23,000 if we combine them together. And that would, like, just so clarification for everybody, our tasers are, this is the newest version of tasers. We get brand new tasers, body cams that the officers wear. Everybody have one. We get new docking stations. If under this contract, if officer gets into a scuffle and it falls on the street and it's rolled over, all we got to do is send it back to them and they give us a brand new one. And it'll be covered for the next, was it 5 years or 7? I can't remember. I think it's 5 years. Everything will be covered under that. Same thing with the tasers as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Call for the question.
Call.
Second?
Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
The
Chief
second thing,
Autry.
we just purchased 2 motorcycles for $10 a piece. The company that we bought them from on the coast, the Harley dealership, has found they have a 2020 Harley that they called us and gave us first dibs on. I don't want to say the company name because I don't want none other agency to jump on it too fast. But this dealership, this Harley is a 2020. It is a brand, which has 2,000 miles on it, and it only has. He's selling it to us instead. The market value of it is almost 28,000 with the accessories. You're looking over 30, and they're selling it to us for 17,274. The money is already in the budget. We have 4 officers that are going to Highway Patrol is going to train them. They're going to come here and train them on motorcycles, so we can put them out in the school zones and stuff like that.
All right.
So moved.
Motion made by
Second.
Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion.
Yes,
Yes,
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Dillard.
just curious, how did you get a Harley Davidson for $10? I mean, I know there's got to be something to it, but it just sounds ridiculous.
Well, we bought it from another agency, another municipality, the city of Pascagoula. They just went and bought a whole new fleet, and they had 2 that they were going to auction off, and instead of auctioning it, they gave it to another municipality.
Agency.
Yes, sir.
Okay, interagencies kind of working together.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, thank you. I want to also mention I was at an event last evening with the mayor of Pascagoula, and I thanked him personally for the motorcycle, and he grinned from ear to ear. Yes, Alderman Frazier.
We already got 2, right?
Yes, sir.
So we using them for traffic control.
Yes, sir. This one here will be every day. This will be assigned to Officer Brooks, our full-time traffic guy. He'll be out there on it every day.
Traffic control, funeral detail.
Yes, sir. Mhm.
Okay.
Parades.
Correct. Okay.
Okay.
That's with all the accessories. So we ain't got to buy nothing on this one.
All we gotta do is have it striped. Now I do want to put a radar on it, but I don't have prices on it.
And you know,
But all the lights, everything, siren, everything's on. All we gotta do is stripe it.
I don't have any problem with motorcycles and nothing like that, but I do have a problem with police, not highway patrol. That's what I have problem running
Well,
traffic.
and also, sir, the officer that's assigned to traffic will be working wrecks in the daytime to free up the beat officers so that they can continue to ride their beat, and he'll be doing working wrecks in the city.
I know. I'm what I'm saying is that I don't want officers out there every time you look around and we got citizens complaining about that he's running the highway patrol. We don't need a highway patrolman at the police department. We need a police.
You know what I'm saying? But also, we got to slow these cars down because they're going through our school zones. They're going through our neighborhoods.
I'm in total agreement with you on that.
So we're gonna, he's seasoned. He understands. I know exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
I will call for the question.
Call.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Alderman Davis.
Police department, they applied for a grant with the school, for the school system, and it was approved. It's the cost hiring program. It was $1 million grant, but they broke it down. They gave the police department, well, the city, it was awarded $768,319.
Wow.
It's for the school system.
Wow.
Police in the schools.
Isn't that wonderful?
That's going to allow us to put officers in the schools as well as upgrades, camera systems for the school to ensure our children's safety in light of what's going on with active shooters, intruders. Also allow us for training for them as well.
We've got to applaud that. That's a huge grant award. And thank you, Alderman Davis, for that report. That is exciting. Alderwoman Irving.
Do all of our officers have vests?
Yes, some are outdated. We have monies that we have grant that we get ready to upgrade those who are outdated. They have a shelf life of 5 years, and some of those are coming up on their point. And the newer officers' vests have already been ordered, but they got to make it because they measure it for their torso. So and females are measured as well. So it's different. It's just not something you just buy and put up. They have to make them for them. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just asking because hearing in the news recently, the death of officers, and not having, and that was something I said I would ask.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good question. And I want to just take a moment also to thank our police department for all that they've done recently with our special events. And we have had great events, peaceful events. And these officers, some of them haven't had a day off in a while
Yes.
because they are working extreme hours to keep our city safe. And I also want to say I'm just so grateful that we had a contingent of our officers at the direction of our chief to attend the funeral of the police officer who lost her life in Greenville just a couple weeks ago. And our hearts go out to her family and to the city of Greenville. And
Mayor Sims.
and yes,
Simmons.
and Mayor Simmons. You represent us so well, Chief Daughtry, you and the men and women under your watch. We appreciate it.
Well, I know when I first got here, thank you, Mayor. I asked you guys, and you approved for me to let them go to funerals, and it's kind of a wake up call for a lot of these young officers because and I know Councilman Frazier will tell you it's a reality check. You know, when you go to an officer's funeral, and they were able to go to show support because it was Greenville's day to day. It could be ours tomorrow or the next day. So we just want to be there to support our brothers and sisters in blue.
We pray daily for our men and women in uniform. We do. Chief, why don't you tell them a brief report of a real successful National Chiefs Association meeting, and you were there representing not just the city of Natchez, but the state of Mississippi as our association president.
It was phenomenal to be in the city of Dallas. Not a Cowboys fan. Everybody knows I'm a Saints fan. But the chief of Dallas showed us a lot of love, and we got a chance to see some things. But to be in a room with over 16,000 chiefs from across the world, not just in the country, but across the world. I met chiefs from Jamaica. I met chiefs from the U.S. Virgin Islands, Dubai, Italy. It was phenomenal. And to sit in the room, I went into the wrong class, not knowing where I was going, and went to a major city chief round table. And to be in a room with chiefs with population of 250,000 or more, some of them even had millions, to sit in that room and listen to some of the problems, the round table, some of the same issues they're dealing with, small agencies like us are dealing with the same, dealing with retention, dealing with funding, and dealing with community police and building that rapport back with the police department. The chiefs of Dallas and Charlotte and also Columbus, Ohio are sending us some of their crime prevention stuff, that the crime strategies that they did. And we're going to try to implement some of this stuff. And we're also going to invite some of them through to the suggestion of Alderman Davis. I'm going to invite them to come to our Chiefs Conference in December to come and have opportunity to speak to some of our people as well.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Great report. Next up is another great chief, Chief Robert Arrington. And I've got to say, Chief Arrington, again, thank you for all y'all have done during our special events and parades and everything we've had going on.
It has been fun.
And I also want to say it is a sobering reality that these firefighters never know when they're going to be called into duty. If you'll recall, we had a training just a few months ago on how to save someone if they were ever in a situation in a silo, in a grain silo. And unfortunately, there was a death just last week in Mississippi, someone who succumbed to that situation.
Exact scenario. We're going to try to put that training on again. Hopefully we'll be able to get more participation. Last time we did it, it was kind of during harvesting season, so we missed out on some farmers. We're going to try to do that again in their down season to make sure we can cover more people.
Thank you. Chief Aaron, on with your report.
I am here to ask permission to start a contract with the firefighters. It's a lot like what we did with PD, with the exception of the firefighters is only 2 years. So when we hire firefighters, send them to the academy, if they quit, leave, go to another agency, that agency will have to reimburse the city what it costs to train them. Just wanted to do it and get it in their hands so there's no misunderstanding. Everybody's on the same page. This is already a statute in Mississippi from 2013. But I just wanted to have something tangible that everyone could have and see and get signatures on. So there's no confusion whenever we run into that incident.
All right. Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Davis. Alderwoman Smith beat you to that motion, didn't she?
He beat me to the winning of the my report, but that's all right.
All right. And we are going to call for discussion. Any discussion? Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
What's the fee for the academy that we would get?
It varies. Right now, if you're able to work with grants and with the Win Job Center, it's about $500.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's upward of, I think it's like $2,250,
Okay.
something along those lines with room and board.
Thank you.
Call for the question. Second.
Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. I am looking out. Is Nifa Hardy? There she is. Nifa, I told you I was going to let you go, and here we are. And I was looking around the room and lost sight of you. If you'll forgive me, this is a part of the miscellaneous updates under my report, and this has to do with Halloween. And so a timely discussion this week. And I want to say also, we appreciate all that NEFA does. NEFA, I want to publicly thank you and Dustin and Richard and so many for going above and beyond during the visit of the French ambassador, combined with the visit of Patty LaBelle. It was a hectic Saturday.
It was busy.
And I couldn't have gotten through it without you. So thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
all.
All of you. You have an amazing team.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
may I? She was a lit soldier. She was a lit soldier. She was right on point.
We're very grateful.
Yeah, she was a little soldier.
NEFA. Yeah. NEFA, your report.
Okay, so good evening, board and
evening.
mayor. So Dustin has some photos up on the screen of my two helping move Candy to the conference room, because yesterday the conference room didn't look like this, as clean as it is. That's what it looked like yesterday when we were packaging candy for the trunk or treat on that's going to be on Monday on the Bluff between Franklin and Madison Street, so the north end of the Bluff. And the same as it was last year, from 5 to 7. And Dustin also has a flyer for that. So that's the trick or treat for Little Feet. So I'll start with that one. So let me do that one first. And that's fine. I'll do that one first. So trick or treat for Little Feet is also going to be on Monday, Halloween Day, from 4 to 5:30. And as everyone knows, that's for the downtown merchants. And they are aware, they're ready, they're going to have candy out. And of course, this has been something that's been done, I want to say, by the chamber over the course of the years, and also the chamber partners. But this year is going to be headed by the Downtown Natchez Association. So they're doing that from 4 to 5:30, and then head on down to the Bluff for The Grinch is Back, everyone. And we're going to have that from 5 to 7. And Dustin is going to be pulling that up shortly. Yeah, he's working on it, but it's from 5 to 7. And that's pretty much all I have to be able to report on that. We're expecting a lot of children and family to be able to come out. Last year. And I told the mayor earlier this morning, we bagged about 700 individual bags of candy last year. And we're planning on hopefully doubling that this year, because we ran out in an hour last year. So we had a lot of children and families to come out, and they enjoyed themselves. I've also spoken with Isaac with the Natchez pedal cruiser. They're going to be out on that evening as well. That's the flyer there. And just come out and have a great time.
And
Is this a drive-through?
This is not going to be a drive-through this year. Last year we had the drive-through had it set up for the drive-through, and people just started walking. They just so they just got out and started walking. So this year it's going to be that setup again, but we've now also incorporated all of our departments from the city. So the fire department, police department, Natchez Transit, and Public Works. They're going to come out and they're going to be giving out candy as well. And we have other partners that's going to be out with Tobacco Free Coalition. Some of the fraternities and sororities are going to be coming out and setting up tables too. So we have it all set up and ready to go for Monday.
thank you. You're doing such a good job for us.
Well, apparently there must be some issues with security over there at the police department. So, so he's out roaming the streets.
I heard he's been out a while.
Right.
And he's actually been living up north, but he has decided he likes Natchez so much that he's made this a part-time seasonal home. I'm told he's going to be here not only Halloween, but through Christmas. And we may have to have some extra patrols because he may be causing some ruckus. I hope he doesn't do what he did last year and, mess up the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
All right.
So thank you.
Thank you, Nefa. Y'all, we also have Sonora called here. And Sonora, actually, what were you? Ivan is going to give the report. Come on up, Ivan. Our new assistant director.
Yay.
And if you didn't notice, Sonora Parks and Rec is teaming up with that Grinch event. Everybody wants a part of the Grinch. It's just become a Natchez thing. And it's so good to see you this evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
As y'all all know, the playgrounds and the city parks are being renovated.
Excuse me,
Michael.
Yeah, speak up a little louder.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I ain't good with that. That's better.
Yes.
A little closer.
All right.
That's good, Ivan.
Renovations about 80% complete. We're currently waiting more pieces to be installed, waiting on more playground equipment to be installed. We just completed the hiring process of 2 new maintenance guys, so I think you guys should know that. Hopefully they'll integrate successfully with Parks and Recreation. And Mr. Mayor, if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Cole sent you an email regarding renovations of the canteen, and we may run into a budget issue because the AC units need to be repaired.
Okay.
Fully repaired. They're outdated.
Yes. We'll be looking in.
Okay. Our previous event, the young girls to ladies, it was a success. It was a great turnout. Everybody enjoyed it. It was wonderful, I would think. The next event is December the 16th. So far, it's called the Pajama Jam, so everything's on schedule with that. We don't have the flyer just yet, but we're working on it, getting everything organized. And lastly, our ribbon cutting for our parks is still on schedule for November the 9th.
All right.
And
What time?
North Natchez will be 11 a.m. and Duncan Park will be 1 p.m.
All right.
You said North Natchez, what time?
11 a.m. And Duncan 1 is 1 p.m.
Alderwoman Smith, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say it's been so exciting to see kids out at the parks. I was by Madison Park several times this weekend, and there were kids playing and having the best time. So it's so exciting. Thank y'all for all the hard work.
For the record, they're not officially open.
No,
but
they're not open.
We can't.
Well, they were playing.
We tried our best to keep them off the playground equipment, but it's
So they're not
hard.
allowed to
It's
go until after
Not
the
yet.
ribbon cutting?
not until after.
Okay.
Well, we actually, when I'm going to recognize Alderwoman Hall to speak to that.
Actually, I was going to speak on this during my report, but thank you very much for what you're doing, and we're glad you're a part of our team.
Okay.
And also, we have been asking since the beginning of this that parents please keep your children, parents and guardians away from the equipment until the parks are complete. And as each park is completed, we're asking that the company provides in writing that this park is complete
Right.
before any children go onto the equipment. And this is for safety purposes.
Absolutely.
But we're very happy to know that we're 80% complete,
Mhm.
and ribbon cuttings will be soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's great.
Yes, sir, Ms. Frazier.
Alderman Frazier, you're recognized.
What day is that ribbon cutting?
November the
November 9th.
Mhm.
Okay. Let me just say this to you, Ivan.
Mhm.
You're a little nervous. You ain't got to be nervous. I understand your first time. It was a good report. And
Mhm.
I know you can talk a little louder. So
Oh, yeah.
we appreciate what you're doing, man. We need a young man like you that help Mr. Cole out over there.
Okay.
A strong young man, because to manage these parks, you're gonna need somebody. So we appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Stay on the job. Thank you very much.
Well said. All right. Great report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. A lot to celebrate there. All right, Alderwoman Hall, your report.
Yes, sir. That was part of my report just then.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to again thank Ms. Cole. She's been working very hard. She and Mr. Ivan doing the installation of all of this equipment at all 6 parks. And they have an awesome team. The company has an awesome team. They have crews at each park. So this has been an outstanding process all around. I'm looking forward to the ribbon cutting. Also, I was asked to attend and also speak at the Senior Citizens Breast Cancer Walk this past Friday, October 21st. There were many senior citizens in attendance from the Senior Citizen Center, and many senior breast cancer survivors were recognized at this event. And I also was a host MC at this event. And I was asked to serve on a recent an advisory committee recently relative to health care and at the Mississippi Extension. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much, Alderman. Alderman Frazier, you're
Yes,
recognized.
Mr. Mayor. I can be that long. I also attended that event on the bluff. They say it was very eventful. A lot of seniors was there, and they was having a great time just being out there, soaking up the sun and soaking up the scenery down there. This month I also attended, as you know, we're getting into the campaign season, and you got a lot of people running for office. I attended an event at Colin Junior College whereby they had all the judges and the candidates for running for office. They gave a brief synopsis of what they're going to do and what they're trying to do. Like say that it was hosted by the NAACP, and it was hosted at Colin Junior College. Also, I attended another event with Congressman Benny Thompson, who came in and he spoke a good little while on what his plans was for this coming up term that he's running for office. And as you know, he's running too. But he laid out some of the plans, what he has in store for this area down in Southwest Mississippi, which, like I say, that was very informative. And also, like I say, I talked to a young lady. I didn't know this. I talked to a young lady. She was a politician. She's running for judge in Vidalia, Miss Walker's. And I talked to her. It's a lot going on in this area. And last but not least, I would like to say this is I think we're going to meet for this. Everyone, we was given the right. We was given the right to get out and vote. And I would like to tell everyone, please cast your vote. Cast your vote for whoever you want to cast it for. But it was that was a right that was granted to us. So vote and vote your conviction. So that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just quickly want to thank, and it's really reiterating what you said, but I was at both of the events last weekend and the weekend before, and our police department, our fire department, and our public works departments make me so proud. They did a great job, and they talk to people, they interact with people, and it's more than even just being there to protect. It's a great PR opportunity, and they do it beautifully. So thank y'all very much.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Alderwoman Irving.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to also share, I attended an event, actually attended two churches with Congressman Benny Thompson last Sunday, and we also had breakfast at Dairy Queen. And so he is out to the different local churches in the community, sharing with members of the community what his plans are for Adams County and the surrounding districts. I was not aware that with Adams County and Wilkinson County being he has 30 counties that he will be representing for the state of Mississippi, and that's very enlightening to know that. Also, I want to report, and I've already called them in, and tonight I'll ride through and see. We had several lights out, one on Minor Street, two on Clavin Street, two on Dr. Martin Luther King, and I did report them in to Energy. So hopefully they're taking care of today's 25th. They would be. I also want to report there are 3 lights out at Cathedral School. 2 of them have been out for over a year. I have reported them on several occasions and they have not been turned on. There's also one out, and I get the poll number for it, on Aldrich Street, the side street. It's completely dark up there. And so I wanted to report that. And I know our officers are out. This would help and enable them to have more light where they can see. So as you ride through your communities, your streets in your community, please take those poll numbers down, because we have quite a few lights out in our community. I don't want to say where they're located offhand. I think every alderperson should ride through their neighborhoods and jot those down, and then assist our Natchez Police Department with that as well. I also want to say that this past weekend, I witnessed that Jack Wake Parks looked really great. Ms. Cole, your staff, thank you for all that you're doing. It looks great over there. They were bringing the wood chips in for the playground area where the swings are going to be. And so I see that all of that is being filled in. They're going to even bring, what's the trimming around it? The border. Okay, border. They're going to bring more border out to close that in. And so thank you again. The parks do look great. They do look great. Hopefully we're going to address the drainage over there in that park as well. And that would definitely seal everything. But we do have youth playing, and, you know, they're being as safe as they possibly can. Okay. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Thank you. And Alderwoman and all of you, please, if you can, anytime you see a light out, provide that whole number you can provide to my office, and we'll make sure that word gets to Entergy. Yes, Alderwoman Smith.
I keep in my car, they've got that stuffy child on the poles
red.
too. You have that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I got them out there.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that to our attention, Alderwoman. Thank you. Alderman Davis.
Saturday from 9 to 2, neighborhood wireless will be at the safe room, issuing out free phones and ACP pads from 9 to 2. And I talked to Housing Authority, and we're gonna go to some of the housing areas and issue out some of the some free phones and iPads. I'm scheduling that right now, and that ends my report, Mayor.
That's great. That's a real benefit to our community. So I know you've been working hard on that. Thank you, Alderman Davis. Alderman Dillard.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do want to report that the project at Duncan Park in front of the historic Aldermen overgrowth mitigation, that's pretty much that first phase has been completed. If you haven't driven by there, you can actually see the grounds and see the house from Duncan Park Avenue. I do want to give the credit to the contractor. I mean, it was a bear of a job, and he did great work. I do want to also allow the public to know that it's still rough right now, so there'll still be some picking and removals of stuff, and we'll be with Justin tomorrow to walk through the rest of the grounds. We've still got work to do there, Mr. Mayor. We've got dead trees that are actually very dangerous, and we have undesirable trash trees that have crowded into the mature trees. So there'll be a continuation of work going on there. So I'll meet with Justin in the morning. The other thing I want to bring up, and I did, Mr. Mayor, and I think I texted you in that, but in our compliance, I'm trying to think that what did a maintenance code that we apply to overgrown grass, dilapidated properties, neglected properties. I need to. I sent it to you, and is it the proper procedure to send it to the police department?
We're having we're actually having a meeting on that tomorrow, and those addresses are being given to the to our code enforcement officer, Mr. Johnny Baldwin.
Yeah, and I know Mr. Baldwin, but we may be looking at that department to get. I thought we were looking for additional staff members.
Yes, we are. That is still in process.
And the problem, I just want to kind of go ahead and present this out here, and we all have different little neighborhoods in our wards, but in my case, the Montebella's one and Roseline's one, where as the neighborhood ages as it does and people move out, there seems to be more rental properties in there. Coincidentally, the numbers I gave you were actually homeowners, but the overgrowth contributes to the downward spiral of these neighborhoods. And it seems like a small thing, but it's a collective malaise of those folks that are living there. And so it's easy to kind of look over. It says, well, it's just overgrown grass. Well, it's overgrown grass and it's littered. We need more street lights. And we got potholes, and then it just spirally down. So I want to make an earnest appeal, Mr. Mayor, to you and to the administration and the police department. That I realize we've got obviously life-threatening issues that we have to deal with, but these will add up, and they contribute to almost a corruption of even if there's small kids in there, that it just becomes they're playing on abandoned vehicles, or they're setting fire to a dumpster or whatever. So we wonder how some of these children get to where they are, and if we can find a place back. And I think it's around the 5th or 6th grade that it starts to happen, and the 3rd grade. Well, I was thinking maybe they were teenagers, but that ends my report, Mr. Mayor. I look forward to hearing your an update on those concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderman Irving. You're recognized.
I just want to piggyback on what he said about code enforcement. What happens when there's a new address that needs to be added to the list, and it's not on the list that we have, but a new address? What happens then?
You can call it to the police chief. We're actually having a meeting. The chief and I are meeting on this tomorrow with Officer Baldwin, because we're adding addresses now. And if you have some addresses
I do.
here,
Okay.
you can send them directly to the chief. You
Okay.
can, and he'll make sure.
They'll be added to the list? Okay, all right, they'll be added to the list. Okay.
And we have been receiving emails from your office, Mayor, about different houses and different areas that we've been addressing. We've towed, I think, about 4 cars this week. We got into an altercation with one person for towing their car today. So it is being done. We got to eat this elephant one bite at a time. It's a lot of stuff out there. I didn't realize it until when I start want to know where's this? I need to put an update. And then when I start seeing all the stuff that is being done, and then that list that you guys got lists coming in. I mean, y'all have a direct line about a lot of this stuff. But we are addressing it. And if you do, and like I said, Mayor, if it's coming to your office, you send it to us, or Alderman, each one of you have my number. You can text it. If you text it to me, then I'll get them on it and we'll give you a response.
And that would include, because I did get a complaint.
Alderman Dillard, one moment. Alderwoman Irving, complete your.
Dead trees. We have some dead trees too, Mayor. We need to look at in Jackway Park. Richard had came out to look, but there are 2 trees out there with holes in them.
All right.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Dillard is next, and then I'll come around.
I want to say that I did get a complaint, and it has to be a verified and confirmed of essentially breeding dogs. And I know we have an ordinance on the books, Mr. Mayor, but I think we're going to have to enforce some of those and really put some bite on it, so that people realize that, you're raising dogs or something for either a hobby or a little profit on the side, but it contributes in a big way towards almost catastrophic conditions at the Humane Society that they are just so overwhelmed. I've said it before, but I think that some effort on this other end. If you have your animals spayed and neuter them, if you don't, Mr. Mayor, they're going to have to pay the fee of a breeder, and it's like $1,200 or $1,500. If that's what you want to do, if not, then you're going to be fine. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Dillard. Goodness, Alderwoman Hall.
I had just inadvertently overlooked two things on my report. I just wanted to talk about, and then to say that I think regarding the code enforcement issues, you had asked us to send those to the office, and that's what I've been doing, giving them to Ms. Franklin, because she has been making a log depending on what the call is.
Yes.
And thank you for letting me add these two items to my report. Thank you. I did attend as did the mayor, that Paint Natchez Pink last Thursday, and it too was well attended. And breast cancer survivors were also recognized at that event. And I went for the community as well as for my family. I have a sister who's a 10-year breast cancer survivor. I have an aunt who died of breast cancer, and my father died of lung cancer. So this is very dear to our family.
Thank you.
And the other, I'm working very closely with the manager of one of the senior citizen complexes in my ward to upgrade some safety, the things that we need for those citizens. And this is going very well.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Alderwoman Smith and then Alderman Frazier.
Just quickly, I feel like we're seeing why we need one formalized way to do this with the code enforcement. And I'm like you're doing with that and then getting logged, because texting you half the time, texting commander, it's just.
We really encourage everyone to just send those to Charlotte Franklin,
Ms. Franklin,
who is maintaining a log, and that is working.
That way we
very
can
well.
get
numbers?
Well, you can actually just call the mayor's office. Yeah, in the afternoons. She's there in the afternoons.
What, 1 to 4?
1 to 5.
And my reason for asking, because I'm not able to call early mornings or anything anymore. So,
And you can email it to me also, and we'll make sure it's on there.
I think does she have an email address like all?
Well, you can just email it to me, and we'll make sure it gets on there. I don't have her email.
All you do is call it in. She'll
Isn't
take
it
it all.
just C?
Is it C Franklin at
I don't know.
natchez.ms.us? I
Just
think
call the
it,
mayor's office. She'll take it.
but really over the phone is just the easiest way. Okay. All right, Alderman Frazier.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, as you said, this code enforcement, it's a lot to digest and a lot to take. I too have had several calls, especially on Mr. James Jones on Lafayette Street, calling about a horse down at dead end of the pasture. The guy done brought 2 horses within the city limit. I need y'all to check on that, because like I said, and plus barking dogs. I don't know if they'll start back fighting dogs over there on Lafayette or what, but he did call today complaining and wanted to know at the meeting. And I expressed to him that I'll take care of it. I'll pass it on. So would you please look into that, chief? Like they say, this code enforcement, like I say, it's dealing with a variety of things, and just one person is not going to be able to handle what we setting for. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderman. All right, we will now move to the city clerk's report, and you're recognized, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. We're asking for approval of the 2nd October 2022 claims docket.
It's a pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion?
Small claims docket.
The regular.
The regular docket. The regular docket. Alderwoman Irving, you're recognized.
Oh, okay. Okay. I wanted to just ask a question, and it was about on page 36. On page 36, Great Southern Events, and it was taken out of the parks account. On page 36, it's account number 126340635. It's 4,000. So, what was that Great Southern Events?
It's, I believe, our provider for the playground equipment. and that is the borders that are going around playgrounds.
That's event for wedding rentals and things like that. That's what that's for. I looked it up.
I may have that wrong.
Okay,
Is,
so it's for
do you have
it's
the answer
wedding
to that?
events,
I
rentals,
think
and I'm like,
Yeah, Miss Cole is not
Okay.
here.
so when you just looking at to see what it was, because it was $4,900.
Well, it says on here the safety borders.
That's his recreation, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
That's for the
Miss,
recreation.
Great,
Okay.
you may have looked at a different company, but Great Southern is the company we had gotten our
It's out
playground
of Jackson.
equipment
Is that
through.
out of Jackson?
All I know is,
Okay.
we're dealing with Great Southern on our playground equipment. That is for,
That's correct.
I believe that is the board.
And Mr. Mayor, I just want to ask, why do we have an account, and you can explain why, for the youth leadership
Where are you?
on page 27? The
We'll have
chamber, is that the chamber? We've always had that, the youth leadership with the
I'll
chamber?
have to ask the clerk about that one.
Okay.
I think that's the appropriation lines. All those are appropriations.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to ask. I didn't. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And that ends what
Yeah,
I
that
had.
is the youth leadership program
Mhm.
through the Natchez Adams County Chamber of
I
Commerce.
didn't know we did. I knew we did the other one, but not the youth leadership. Because Mr. Frazier participated in actually one of them when he first came on board. So that was the one that I was aware
That's
of.
the
That's why I was
leadership
asking.
Natchez.
Okay. Yes, it was the leadership Natchez. Okay.
All right.
That ends.
All right. Other discussion?
Call the question.
Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Yes, asking for approval of the 2nd October 2022 mini claims docket.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion on the motion.
Yes.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
I just want to say it has my name on it saying that we attended the meeting. Just want to revert that because I did not attend the conference.
Yes.
So it has on there, what, $239, I believe?
Yes, we need to make that correction.
Yes.
Strike me off there too, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Alderman Frazier did not attend as well. That is the small town
Give
conference.
it a check.
Mhm. All right. Further discussion?
Call for question.
We'll okay, the question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Yes, approval to publish the FY 2022 garbage collection revenue and expense statement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by, was that Alderman Davis?
Yeah.
The discussion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Dillard?
It seems like this discussion came up. It's just like $2 is what we're looking at as far as a rate increase for this next year's operating expenses.
That is what we discussed in the budget, and I think we've already made that motion at our prior meeting.
But I'm just recalling.
Yes, it's a cost, it's a
Thank you,
CPI
Mr. Mayor.
adjustment. Yes. All right, further discussion?
Let's call for the
Call.
question.
Second.
Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Approval of the FY 2022 municipal compliance questionnaire.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded.
Yes.
I think
It's-
that's
it's-
something we go over individually, right?
Well, I do have a motion. I
And
need a
in the
second
packet.
before we can continue.
Second.
All right, Alderwoman Irving has seconded. Discussion.
I was just gonna ask, is that something you've always gone over with the board? So when we go through it, there's a problem. I didn't actually read it, this time. I
Okay.
didn't because, just trying to look to see.
Mhm.
I thought we would do it individually, like had a discussion like we've
I
always done.
don't think, I mean,
Executive session.
this is not, this can't be, this has to be done and open. It is a,
Okay, well, we,
I believe this is a 7-page document. I don't recall that we've gone through it page by page. Mr. Callaway?
This is a compliance questionnaire that has to be prepared and filed every year. And this is the clerk submits this and Megan has prepared this just like we've done in years past.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you've done, and I'm not denying that. What I'm saying is that
Yeah, just usually the clerk prepares it and presents it.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderman Dillard.
I mean, I do have, and I would say it's item number 12.
Yeah.
And I certainly want to preface any comments that I made by an understanding that our clerk has done a heroic job, and her staff from where they started to where they are now, and it's noticeable, it's appreciable. But on the monthly budget status reports, which are the reports of expenditures against each budget item, as it reads here as item number 12, they were, we were getting them maybe every other month, and then we were catching up. So I just want to know that going forward, Mr. Mayor, that the clerk, and I know you guys take this, but we have to have those by this statute, the expenditures against the monthly budget items, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You're never going to get it perfect. There's going to be things in there, but we have to have it every month, Mr. Mayor, or we have to realize by agreeing to all this board accepts all of these things that are here to be true, and that we know them to be true. So we are the governing authorities, and we're responsible for that and have to make those things known. It's not a critique of the board, it's of the city clerk's function with her duties. So anyhow, number 12, I see that she's got it marked yes. I probably would disagree with that. But I've made my comments, and I think going forward, I think I won't have to make them again. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Alderman. I do believe much advancement has been made in that area, and your comments are duly noted. Further discussion?
Call the question.
Okay, the question has been called, and is there a second question?
Second.
All right, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Yes, approval to retroactively approve the following repayments of interfund loans. There are two here. One for $39,856.80 from 125 Transit to 113 Senior Center for payroll expenses. There's another one for payroll expenses from 125 Transit to 113 in the amount of $24,719.88.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion.
Were both of those 125 to 113?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the
Yes,
last one.
they
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's good.
Discussion. We'll call for the question.
Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Is to retroactively approve the following interfund loans: $50 from general fund to 102 regional recycling grant fund on 10/11/2022 until reimbursement is received.
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion on the motion. We'll call for the question.
Called.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Okay, there's another interfund loan in the amount of $350 on 10/14/2022 from general fund to 102 regional recycling grant fund until reimbursement is received.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion. We'll call for the question.
Call.
We'll proceed to the vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Okay, the last one is to retroactively approve the following interfund transfers: $344.26 from 126 recreation to general fund to reimburse for MDES unemployment payment.
So moved.
Second. I think we're taking these all in one motion,
Okay,
aren't
one
we?
motion.
If you'll
Okay.
continue,
All right.
yes.
$5,724.51 from 125 Transit to general fund to reimburse for MDES unemployment payment. $114,725.22 from ARPA fund to 630 payroll clearing fund towards budgeted police payroll offset. and $80,157.01 from ARPA funds to 630 payroll clearing fund towards budgeted fire payroll offset.
I'll entertain the motion now.
I think Alderman Dillon.
Alderman Dillard, you made the motion,
And I made the second.
and Alderman Davis seconded.
Yeah, I mean,
Discussion.
I think going forward, some of them, because, $50 here and there, but when we get into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, I think it warrants separating or dividing the question, if you will. But having listed this, and I probably had it in my packet or read it somewhere, but I do still make the motion as presented.
Okay, and Alderman Davis is
Second.
seconded. Okay, thank you. Discussion?
Call for the question.
Second.
Question? All right, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Madam Clerk,
That ends my report.
thank you so much. Good job. City Attorney, your report.
Hey, Mr. Attorney, Mr. Mayor, it's been a while.
Long day.
It has been a lot. We're looking at the Coke contract that Ms. Cole presented. When I sent this back to her for review to present to the Alderman, I also asked her to include my notes so that you could see this has been presented to the board initially a long time ago. So I don't want attorneys to get in the way of progress for recreation. I don't want attorneys to get in the way of progress for any business. However, there are certain things the city can't do, like indemnity and agree to arbitration. And you'll see my notes in the provided to you in your packet, that most of these apply to just formalities. I need to get these straight with the Coke attorney. One other thing I did was facilities as defined in the Coke contract was kind of gray. It seemed to leak over into other properties owned by the city. And also we have an exception to our department, our recreation department, that being the golf course. We have a separate management contract. So I modified that definition to exclude the Duncan Park golf facilities. At any time we have a management contract, either now or for successors. The rest were formalities that are just questions about Mississippi legal laws. I hope y'all read these. It's not insurmountable, but I think the contract's ready to go. I don't want to hold up recreation. If Coke agrees to the changes, or if Coke agrees that they want to word something that I find is appropriate, that's not in violation of Mississippi law, with the same terms as far as money, and what they'll do is providing inventory and refrigerators and our purchase prices that are set forth in the contract, then I think the board needs to approve it. There was one thing I need to clear up with Sonora. She's not here. When the presentation was made to this board, it was Coke's going to sell you products at a decreased price.
Mm-hmm.
Coke's going to provide you refrigerators. Coke's going to provide you scoreboards. Coke's going to provide you this, and you'll have these guaranteed prices for any premises run by Department of Recreation. There was a little provision in one of the exhibits that said, however, we could change the equipment that we've loaned to you into rentals. I don't think that's part of the agreement. I scratched that out. So if the board wants to approve this with my changes, or allow me to negotiate wording with the Coke attorney that allows us to enter this contract substantively with the same meanings, terms, with the exceptions I provided, maybe in words that they find better that helps their heart, but I still say we're not entering too long as it doesn't violate Mississippi law. I think the board needs to approve the contract subject to my further negotiation.
So moved. Okay, we have a motion to that effect by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like
Yes,
to
Alderman.
thank Mr. Callaway for diligently working with this contract and waiting until he could have the time and their authority to work within the laws of Mississippi to get this done. And I thank Ms. Cole also.
Thank you. Thank you. Further discussion?
Call for question.
Second.
Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. I do understand we have an item for executive session. Is one item. And I've got to do mine, yes. And
Sorry,
Just didn't
Donnie.
make the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
yes. I think that well, then we have two items for executive session, don't we?
I don't think that's executive session. I think-
Which one are you referring to? This is,
Mr. Heidelberg.
Fisk Avenue.
oh, this is not the one I was thinking it was. Okay. Being that this is a regular meeting, you're free to bring that up. So, Mr. Attorney, if you'd like to bring that up.
About a month ago, I guess there was a presentation by Mr. Anthony Heidelberg, Tony Heidelberg, as we all know him. He presented a packet to the city, and at the time it was too soon to put on the, or too late to put on the docket. So I asked Ms. Charlotte to put that information in your boxes. Mr. Heidelberg has made an offer to purchase the lot at 00 Fisk Avenue for, I threw my glasses down like a young guy, but I wanted to pick them up like an old man, for $2,400. The city initiated this process of the two bids with
Two appraisals.
but next to Dunleith, and I can't get the name out of my head right now, Mayor.
Margaret Martin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alderman, with Margaret Martin. So the board is familiar with this process, and the statute allows the board to declare this surplus if it's not being used for municipal purposes and won't be needed for government-related purposes, and then sell this property for the average, not less than the average of two appraisals. The two appraisals that were obtained were from Kerry Kaiser and Mr. Pace. Mr. Pace used to work at the tax assessor's office, well known to this board. Kerry Kaiser is a lifetime resident of Natchez, very well known. Both of these are very reputable gentlemen. The average of their two appraisals came at $2,350. Mr. Heidelberg has offered more than that, being $2,400. The resolution that is prepared and before the board, if they seek to address it tonight, would approve the sale of 00 Fisk Avenue for the sum of $2,400. And then the findings, of course, are laid out in this resolution. It is surplus property. Two appraisals have been obtained. The offer is more than the average of the two appraisals. This is going to foster improvement of the community and the civic, social, educational, cultural, moral, or welfare of the community.
So
And
moved.
anybody- Yeah.
This is my ward, Mr. Mayor. So
Okay,
if-
Alderwoman Irving
Thank
has
you.
made the motion and Alderwoman Smith has seconded it. I do need to point out, make one little correction on that address. You see it?
I do need to make a correction
A
to the
correction.
resolution. And I would tell y'all, this is an undeveloped,
Yes,
unkempt lot.
yes.
It is.
There is one correction he's making to the address, and you'll see it
It
there.
is an incorrect address.
Getting it 00 Fisk Avenue is the address. So the motion has been made, seconded, discussion.
Yes,
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
that's, that just 00, that's just Fifth Avenue, right? Correct?
Fisk Avenue.
Right, it's
Yes.
just the corner.
The
right
corner.
there.
My only suggestion is, make it $2,500. He can afford that little $100. Let's round it off to the 24. He can afford to get $2,500. We said it's 25. I tell him I made that motion if you want.
We've already got a motion on
Call
the
the
floor.
question. Call
The
it.
question's been called. I really appreciate your efforts
I'm
there.
trying to squeeze every dollar we can for
I
the
know.
city.
So the motion has been made, second, question's been called. If this motion for some reason fails, you can then make your motion, right? All in favor? We do need a roll call on this one. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Smith. Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis. And Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
The ayes have it, motion carries.
If y'all looked at the resolution, it's the second part, that it's written in 2 paragraphs, but I think the same movement and second were for both of
Okay.
those paragraphs.
Great.
Correct, Mayor?
Correct.
Yes, that takes care. We don't need an executive session. You just handled that, and that took that off my list. Thank you. It's good to have you around.
That's something else.
You do it. Yes. Do you have something else to take off my list?
No, that's it.
Oh, dang it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll come back around.
I get it.
I do too. We got to get, the list is this long. So my report, I just want to report on a very successful trip to Routes World last week, held in Las Vegas. And it was truly an amazing event with people from all over the world attending. As you know, for many years, Natchez did not have a presence at these airport conventions. And we changed that a year ago, going to Baton Rouge, and then going to the one back in March that was held in San Antonio. So this is our third one this year to go to. And I was there along with Jeremiah Gerald, our airport consultant, and Richard Nelson, who is our airport director. Just to go back, last year we struggled to get one meeting with one airline that had no interest in Natchez and was just being nice to us. This year we met with 4 airlines that are very interested, in addition to a major airport, Dallas-Fort Worth, in addition to officials from the U.S. Department of Transportation pertaining to our coveted Community Air Service Development Grant that we were successful in receiving. It's a complete difference from a year ago. It was also noted by the officials with the Department of Transportation that we had one of the strongest applications this year. And out of all the applications received from the country, only 22 were awarded. We were one of them, and one of the only times that they can recall that a community has been successful on their first try. Wow. That has now put us before a number of airlines interested in Natchez. There are now, though, new challenges. Number one is we are having to begin work immediately to get TSA clearance at our airport, because we have to have TSA clearance here. I mean, what good is it to board a plane here, go to another airport, then you have to get back in line and go through all of that again? That would be, that just wouldn't work. So we're working on it. We have engaged all of our allies in Washington, and we are working toward that now. We do need to engage Congressman Thompson in this discussion, and we'll be doing that very soon. We also had a really good discussion with Dallas-Fort Worth about their desire to make sure they service the needs for American Cruise Lines. And so just yesterday, letters were sent to them detailing the opportunity by myself and also the CEO of American Cruise Lines, and we will be having another meeting with them soon. Southern Airways is still very interested in service. May not happen as soon as we thought. Southern Airways has been growing at a rapid pace. They have taken on some other airports that all of a sudden became available because of some airlines that went by the wayside recently. They now have found that they have more opportunities than they have airplanes. And so we're working with them on that. It may be March before they can actually establish service here. Still looking at New Orleans, still looking at Memphis, but also at Dallas. But this now opens a conversation with Boutique Air and also with direct conversations with American Airlines, especially pertaining to American Cruise Lines. It gets complicated also there's a real urgency now to establish broadband at the airport because as a requirement for TSA, we have to have better broadband. So we have been on those calls. We are actually meeting with our lobbyists in the next day or two to discuss these issues, and they are working on them. So we'll have more to report. I will say it was a great trip. However, I came home with a lot of work to do. But I do want to say this. We are getting a lot of attention, and a lot is to be said for the leadership of Richard Nelson. It was shared at the meeting last week that under Mr. Nelson's leadership, we have now seen over 11 million in grants come in for our airport. And the runway has been completed. We are waiting for the company to sign off so that we can have a ribbon cutting. LED lighting is coming in soon. And that 11 million is more grant money in the last 4 years than the last 70 years combined. So it is a tremendous story on behalf of the airport and the partnership we have with the county. So I just want to thank you for supporting these efforts. These are not easy trips to make, but they are definitely worthwhile. Also, I want to give you an update on broadband. A week ago Friday, we were at the small town conference. Alderman Davis was there, Alderman Smith, and Alderwoman Hall. Got to meet again with Sally Doty. Sally Doty is the director of BEAM, broadband, the broadband initiative for the state of Mississippi under the governor's office. Well, we understand that the grant money is being made available, 162 million. And so far, only two communities are in line. Choctaw Nation has already been announced. The city of Brookhaven is working toward a grant. Ms. Doty's wonderful, Senator Doty. And so she has connected us with some individuals who are working with Brookhaven and Ceasefire. And we are having those meetings. We have now engaged our lobbyists to help us in that area. But she also suggested, that we get back with Mr. Cook, Bill Cook. He obviously is working at a higher level than the rest of us. He's so busy. He's in Australia right now. And sometimes he speaks a language none of the rest of us understand. I'm working to understand it. Mr. Cook has prepared for us a request for information. He is convinced that there are companies out there that would be interested in investing in Natchez for broadband, perhaps as a sole investment and not grant program, or a combination of both grants and investment. He is advising us to consider strongly a wired broadband installed underground system for Natchez, rather than an above ground, as we were discussing before, network over the city of routers on poles. The most reliable delivery of Wi-Fi in America is definitely wired broadband and not wireless. So we are ready to put this new RFI that he has developed out tomorrow with a 2-week turnaround. The RFI is only going out for media-based broadband companies, so there is no printed advertisement needed. This is not something that local companies would be providing information on. Mr. Cook, at no cost to the city, is going to help us get it out there to the experts and then to evaluate responses we get. There is nothing that obligates the city. There's no cost to the city. And this is just information. These are not proposals that then we will sign off on and follow a bid process on. This is just information. But time is of essence. And so I'd like for your permission to put
So
that
moved.
RFI out
Second.
tomorrow. Alderman Davis has made the motion. Alderwoman Hall has seconded the motion. Alderwoman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So is this strictly for underground wire or request for information, or is it?
It will invite information on various approaches to see what those approaches are. But we are, in the research we're doing and trying to get smarter in this, we are finding that the most reliable form is
And just one other
underground.
quick question. Do you know if Brookhaven's is underground?
I'm not sure.
I know C-Spire does a lot of the
Yeah.
on top of buildings,
Yeah.
the big.
I'm not
Oh,
sure.
okay.
I'm not sure. I will say that there's someone who reached out to us, and I actually met with today in Jackson, who was talking to Mr. Cook and expressed an interest. And it is a company that has successfully installed, just finished in just 6 or 7 months' time, a small town in Louisiana with mostly wired underground broadband. So very interesting discussion. We'll see what the RFI brings, see what it brings. And then in the meantime, we are meeting very soon with C-Spire. And then last night, I was at a meeting on the coast, and I was able to actually meet with representatives from AT&T to service our area. And I asked for their assistance in looking at broadband solutions for the city of Natchez. Alderman Dillard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just, again, if I'm hearing what you're just putting there is you're requesting information from broadband providers or installers.
It's kind of as an advertisement says, look, we'd like to improve our broadband. What can you do for us?
Yeah. And I feel that you've discussed it further and more with, and you may have to remind me, who is Mr. Cook?
All right, we appointed Bill Cook to be
It's going to bore everybody.
a consultant. Mr. Cook is an expert in this field who works worldwide, lives in Oxford, Mississippi, and came to us highly recommended by Senator Wicker's office. And he is kind of, I'll just say it, he's a self-appointed public servant who is very concerned that all of these grants being made available could invite less than above board behavior, because companies can come and sell you a bill of goods and it may not necessarily be the right thing, and they're just interested in getting the grant. And since Senator Wicker worked so hard and put so much of his own personal energy into getting these grant funds from Mississippi, they're wanting to make sure that they are invested properly. And so everyone I've talked to really praises Mr. Cook and his integrity and his knowledge. And so we're seeing, but that doesn't mean we're locked into him. We are going to meet with C-Spire, and as I said, just opened a communication with AT&T literally last night.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank
Call for the
you.
question.
Okay.
Second.
Alderwoman Smith has called for the question. It's been
Second.
seconded. We'll proceed now to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. I want to give you an update on animal control. We've been so busy, but as you know, there was discussion about a month or so ago about the Humane Society and the lack of space. It became an issue in the paper, and actually I reached out and had a very good meeting with the Humane Society, and this has been about a month ago. And also, by the way, all of that attention resulted in a great event for them about a month ago when they had a great turnout at the corner bar and people buying all kind of baked goods and looking at their wonderful dogs and cats and giving money to the Humane Society. I am so grateful for what they're doing. I'm so grateful for the meeting we had on site. What we identified is that, yes, it is extremely overtaxed and burdened at the moment when I say use these terms, I mean, they just don't have space, and they have so many animals and more coming, and it's a challenge for us. So we have discussed a possibility of taking a section of the land behind the Humane Society to install a pen that is for short-term storage of animals, housing of animals. Actually, it will have some shelter there, a place where we can have heat lamps in the shelter and proper care, and then to work a volunteer network working within a 120-mile radius of Natchez with any shelters and organizations that we find are willing to help us in finding homes for these animals. And also working with local veterinarians in assistance for improving our rate of getting spay-neuter done, and eventually perhaps providing more funding in the future for spay-neuter programs. So we're looking at all of this. We're having a follow-up meeting very soon, but right now we're waiting on a contractor to come back with a price for fencing and this temporary housing. This may require a special appropriation of additional funds from the city. I know we have not budgeted this, but we do have funds that are aside for certain things. And I would venture to say this is becoming a chronic condition, and it's my desire to get it solved before the real winter months set in. It's already getting cooler. Alderman Frazier.
Mr. Man, that was my next question. That was my question I was going to ask you. We already, as you know, we already fund the Humane Society. Are we going to, and you were talking about additional funding going forward, are we going to be the only person is there and they're going to be doing it? Is the county going to step in, or do you know?
I can't,
as you stated,
I don't know.
because
I wish they would.
Because you said, I'm correct me if I'm wrong, you say in addition there within 125 miles, if we gonna be out, are we be looking for more help from other areas, other counties?
What really the idea is there, we're finding that to successfully find homes and move these animals out of the shelter into adoption, we have to get out there and we have to take them. So we're going to be looking to a volunteer program where volunteers will take these dogs that are friendly and adoptable and take them to facilities that are within driving distance of Natchez to make them available for adoption. So it's a tough thing, and I know the city's catching a lot of heat, but sadly, the city's catching the heat, and yet the city is trying so hard to address the situation. We catch heat while, if you look to the county does not provide any shelter, but the county does provide assistance, I believe, to the Humane Society. But I think you raised a good point, Alderman Frazier. As we look at what this is going to require, yes, perhaps we need to approach the county and ask them to assist.
Exactly. Simply because of the reason, Mr. Mayor, and getting late, it's simply because of the reason, because from what my recollection, all the dog fight and everything, most of it take place in the county, and all the dogs that they recruit came from the county. So the dogs was all chewed up, everything. They took them straight to the Humane Society. So,
it's really true. It is. I'm going to move on. We'll give you more updates as we move on that. I do need to bring this up to you. We have an intersection, High Street and North Rankin, where we have had 3 accidents within a 2-week period just last month. We have 2 signs, both at High Street coming from the west and High Street coming from the east, but we don't have a sign on North Rankin coming from the north toward the south on that one-way street. They're coming through very quickly, And as I said, we've had 3 accidents in a 2-week period. And so I would like to, and I believe we are allowed to do this, to instruct for the safety of that community, to instruct our Public Works Department to install 1 additional stop sign, making that a 3-way stop.
Mr. Mayor,
And yes, Alderman Frazier.
I don't think we need a stop sign up there. Putting all these stop signs in that area, that intersection up there for years hadn't had a stop sign. And just because we had 3 accidents in a week or so, I don't think it's just an unfortunate thing, because people, once you start putting up these signs, these people, they get confused. That we put signs downtown and no one noted, and we had people complain about, when did y'all put these signs up there and why did y'all do that? But I think that Mr. Dollars, they should do a survey or something before we put these signs down. All these signs downtown is getting to be unnecessary.
Well, I will say we have an increase in traffic, and it is notable all over our city right now. And safety should come
Safety is
first.
first.
Alderwoman Smith.
I just want to say how successful. I mean, the most success we've had is that stop, and it has the light there on MLK at State Street. Is that right?
Yeah.
That is. I mean, there were wreck after wreck after wreck after wreck. There was a wreck after wreck. So
Yes.
it can be very, very helpful.
Well, that's the difference. You talking about when we have a blind spot. That's there. You got to fail to realize that was a blind spot at MLK and State Street. That's why that sign put there. We also had a death there. We had more than 1 death there. That's why that sign put there. And also, what you fail to realize, we had meetings and stuff about putting that sign there. We was gonna put a flashing light there.
We did.
We were gonna put a flashing light because people said they couldn't see. So we sell that, and Mr. Dollar did a survey. And he came back and said we sell that by putting a stop sign there, 4-way stop sign, instead we put the flashing sign there. So that's why that intersection was addressed, because we had a death involving a city employee.
Yes, Alderwoman Smith.
It wasn't saying it was apples to apples. It's not. It's just an instance where some kind of, slowing down traffic can save lives. So anyway, that is my point.
Thank you. Alderman Dillard.
I agree, and I just want to put one on the table, because I always got the argument. I tried to get one on Auburn and Park Place. And it's like 3 houses. I live 3 houses from the intersection. I literally saw a little old lady's car up under a magnolia tree. And Auburn is almost as dangerous as that. And what happens is from Park Place, the little old lady was looking for her friend's house and looking for house numbers, and she didn't realize that she's not creeping around in the neighborhood anymore. And she came out there. But every time I got the argument from the traffic department, first they were going to tell me it's an FAU street. Now, my argument to the FAU is they're not putting out any money anymore, so I don't give any time for FAUs. The second thing was they said, well, you got to do all this stuff to get a stop sign. So I'm agreeing with you, but I hope you bring this vigor and this weight of yours to that little intersection. For 14 years, I've been trying to even get a blinking light over there. Put a smudge
one there too.
Well, all right.
I can't get it.
I tell you what, we can have a motion to do this pending that all proper procedures are followed pertaining to our ordinances and the Public Works
He's got other
Department
guidelines
and our
here
traffic
here
committee.
too as
I have money.
well.
I'm getting to you. Alderwoman Irving, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I wanted to bring up, I have the same situation on Clavin Street, going to Grant Street. It's a 4-way stop. And Ms. Peggy Hickenbottom has lived in that community for over 30 years, 40 years, 50 years.
Yes.
However, she said specifically, the sign was never put back up. There was a major accident there. The sign was never put back up. And she just recently asked Neighborhood Watch, could we have that sign back up? It's a 4-way stop. You're coming from Dr. Martin Luther King up Spring Street. There's a stop sign. But you have to ease up past the stop sign to look to see what's coming up on Grant Street. But when they come from Clavin Street or from Lincoln Street, they're not stopping. They're keeping straight down Grant Street. And that sign does.
Okay, could you give me that location again?
It's the corner of Grant Street and Clavin Street.
Corner of
And I think
Grant
it's 13
Street and Claiborne.
Yes, sir.
missing stop sign.
Missing stop sign. I've had Mr. Dollar out at the intersection, and she has mentioned it to him herself that, there was a
Okay.
stop sign there, been there for years.
Okay, and Alderman Dillard, give me the exact location of the one there you're referring to on Auburn.
Auburn and Park Place.
Mhm.
And the Park Place is on either side of it. So it's, I can't think of the exact address, but I will text it to you.
Okay, I've
Mr.
got
Mayor, we
those.
need a motion. Are you asking for
I
a
was
motion
about to
that-
ask for one
A
motion.
move that a stop sign
I'm listening, Alderwoman Hall.
be put at High Street and North Rankin pending the traffic studies review of everything that is legal to do.
I think that's exactly, traffic studies. Do I have a second? Do I have a second to that motion?
And I will-
I remind you, Alderman,
Safety is
your
first.
your intersections may be next. I just wrote down two.
Well, but it
Um,
shouldn't be that.
I want to say this. We've had 3 accidents there in 2 weeks. Okay, let's put it off. And then the next accident is not on me. It's on you.
Not on me.
Okay.
I made a motion.
Well,
I think we've got an opportunity to do this pending the approval of our traffic studies review.
That's the key word right there. The traffic study will tell you.
And that's fine. That's in the
I agree
motion.
with that.
Okay. You'll second it? Alderman Dillard has seconded it. Okay.
That
We'll
was in
just-
my motion, Alderman Dillard.
It
I
was.
thought you said in all good things, but you know. I got
That was in my motion.
It was. It
Traffic
was in-
study review.
It was in her motion. We have a motion on the floor. We've had enough discussion. Any more discussion?
Call the
We'll
question.
call for the question. Yes, Alderman Davis.
I need one on open.
I know.
Everybody make a motion. We'll just be here all night.
No, I'm
All
making
the
notes
time.
and we'll look in them. I want a
You
safe
need to look
community.
into it because it's a safety
We're
issue.
discussing a motion.
Mhm.
It's 7:10.
We're about to-
Discussing the motion. not
It's
a-
actually 8:10.
8:10.
Call for the question.
The question's been called.
Second.
We'll now ask for the vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Nay.
We'll have a roll call vote. Alderwoman Hall,
Aye.
Alderman Frazier,
Nay.
Alderwoman Smith, Alderwoman Irving,
Aye.
Alderman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. 1 opposed. And where on Oakland is that? We're gonna look into it.
I gotta get the name of it. What,
Just
Same
text
street, they put that,
it to me.
okay, I'll give you.
Text it to me. We now will, I could give y'all updates forever, but at this moment, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion
So
made
moved.
by Alderwoman Irving and
Thank you.
seconded
I'll
by
second.
Alderman Davis. Anyone opposed to the motion?
Nope.
Motion carries. Thank you so much. We've had a great meeting.
Great meeting.